All right. So, welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to say thank you to everyone who's going to be dropping in, dropping by for another episode of Ladder for Success. And, today I have a special guest. And this individual I've known for over 3 decades. If I was to read his accolades, I would be here for the next 2 years, literally. He's an individual that I've known for over 3 decades. He's an amazing friend. He's an amazing coach. He's an amazing mentor, and I could list right dozens and dozens of individuals that he's helped coached from folks that I personally know who are authors, coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs to become multi-million dollar producers in the respective field. But one thing you're going to learn about my guest that's going to be coming on right now, he loves to help people and he's a family man. So please help me to welcome my good friend, Sir Dr. James Dentley. Welcome, James.
Yay, and the crowd goes wild.
The crowd goes wild, right?
I'm excited to be here.
Well, I remember seeing you on stage years ago when I was just getting started, like literally, like a newbie in the network marketing industry. And yeah, you were on stage with 10, 20,000 people. When they introduced you, the crowd did go wild. So it's a little bit strange today with, being on online and on Zoom and StreamYard, whatever it is, where we don't have that feedback. But again, I want to let the audience know that thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Tell us a little bit. Who is Dr. James Dentley?
Well, you pretty much summed it up, man. I'm just a guy. My mother raised me. I was the only boy, had three sisters, and was always taught to take care of our sisters. We take care of each other. We're very loyal. So loyalty is just a huge part of it. But as a speaker, author, business sculptor, coach, and now the founder of JD3 TV, I'm really most honored by the work I get to do to hopefully empower and inspire people to live their best life, to come into the potential of that seed that makes up every human being. But I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about you and this incredible book that you launched with some incredible people that I personally know called Landed for Success, because that's all I'm always about, that to help people achieve
Wow.
success in their life through storytelling. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Landed to Success?
Wow.
Landed for.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Well, Landed for Success. Uh, so I would say, James, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, a good friend of mine, Jay Canthan, both of us being immigrant kids, kind of knew, what it was like to hear our parents or grandparents. We all have someone we know when we sit around the breakfast table or dinner. They're always telling us, back in the days. Can anyone relate to that? And they tell us about some of the challenges, the struggles, the 3 or 4 jobs they have, driving a taxi, and whatever it was they did, and then the successes they have today. And so we thought, okay, well, we have some stories as well. Let's create a book series to cut together called Landed for Success. Let's feature stories, amazing stories of immigrants, their challenges, their struggles, how they survive, and how they thrive, and let that inspire to motivate other people. So that was just an idea. And then
Yeah.
some of our friends came along and they said, well, I'm in the legal profession. I'm not an immigrant, but I have a story too. So can I share it? So it's turned into more of not just immigrant stories, but also, folks from every walk of life,
Yeah.
business owners with stories that can inspire and motivate others. And so when we launched this book, you were generous with your time. I remember that. We did an interview back then as well. You introduced us to your friends, your clients, and they helped us get to #1 bestseller by purchasing a copy on Amazon. And so here we are, back to book number two, volume number two, and we're getting ready to launch tomorrow with 19 more amazing authors and an individual that I would have never met if it wasn't for you. And that's Serge John Shin, the
Mhm.
executive producer of Think and Grow Rich, the movie, who wrote the forward in the first book, and he's written the forward in our second book as well. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what is Landed for Success.
Yeah. And for everyone who's listening, a life worth living is worth recording. I am a fan and an advocate of, a desperate advocate of people sharing their story. Everything that's ever happened to me that was positive in life happened because someone shared their story with me, and Gordon helped me come from a place where there might have been some challenges, some dismay, a dark place at some points in my life, but stories kind of got me through that because in storytelling, you can help people go to a place within themselves they cannot go by themselves, only by all of us sharing the story. So, and you got 19 authors there. Can you share with us some compelling stories that would be meaningful from some of the excerpts from the book?
Yeah, one of my favorite stories is a young lady by the name of Pamela Geiger. And James, you and I come from the direct sales network marketing industry.
Mhm.
And so her story means so much to me. And I'll see if I can share with you why it brought tears to my eyes and inspired me at the same time. So when I first met Pamela on the phone, somebody said, "Hey, Gordon, I'd like to introduce you to Pamela. She may be a good fit to share her story in Landing for Success."
Mhm.
So we got on the call, and here's what I discovered. She said,
Mhm.
"I'm now a single mom because my ex walked out on us. And now I'm left with two young girls, right? I believe 3 or 5 at the time. He took the matrimonial home. We had a business together. He took the business, and I have $110 in my bank account. I'm homeless, and I have to take care of my two little girls." And she said to me, "Everything you talked about landing for success, it fits so well with what I believe in right now, and sharing my story and helping others." She said, "I just hit my first 5-figure month in the network marketing industry or the direct sales industry. And so when I get my check, and I forgot the exact time frame, I think it's 2 weeks from now. When I get my check, I'm gonna fill out the agreement, author agreement. I'm gonna send it in with my payment. And guess what? 2 weeks later, she got her check. She did exactly what she said she would do. She sent in her agreement, she sent in her check, and she sent in her story. Is that amazing?
Yeah.
And so when we launched the second book, she said, "I have another story I want to share." And so, Pamela, I thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story. And I know your story has inspired so many other, single mom and dads who have been down and out to say, never give up, never give up. So that's one of the stories that really resonates with me.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Because the storytelling, there's people out there that find themselves in a similar situation, but they feel like they're alone in it. They're embarrassed by it or they're stressed out by it, don't know how to respond to it. And a lot of relationships get afraid or challenged because of we just don't sometimes know how to communicate being in that state. So when people are sharing their story, they give freedom to themselves, but also to so many other people who felt like they were alone and gives them the
Yes.
courage to go share theirs as well. Wow. So 19 authors. So it's so many stories. You know, so many incredible people. You have these incredible events, and you've been very helpful to me with my events. One of my speaker programs, you would bring most of the people initially would come from Canada through you. So I know you're not stopping at 19 authors. Is there going to be a Landed for Success too that other people can be a part of?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Well, first of all, you mentioned your events, the Inspired to Speak. Are you
Hmm.
kidding me? I would bring an army. Folks, if you guys hear Dr. James Dentley with an event, communications speaking, don't even walk through. You got to run to it. And I know for a fact that James, some of those folks that you mentioned from Canada,
Hmm.
one of them went on to say that if it wasn't for Dr. James Dentley, I would not be on stage
Wow.
with individuals like Tony Robbins, Pitbull,
Mhm.
Mark Victor Hansen, Damon Johns, and so on. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, so I want to give credit where credit is due. So, yeah, thank you. And then where are we today? This was our first volume. So tomorrow, our launch is actually, if you don't mind, if I could just do this for 1 second. So
Sure.
tomorrow is our official launch for volume
Uh,
2.
Yeah.
So if you're watching, do us a huge favor, right? The authors have done their job, right? They share their story, and I believe that in their story, you're going to find your landed for success story if you haven't done it already. Just go to landedforsuccess.com/book launch, and it'll be really simple. There's a link there you can click on tomorrow. You can join and watch live. You'll hear individuals like Sir John Shin share his story, right on YouTube, right on Facebook. and the links are already there. Just you can buy a copy of the Kindle version by visiting that page as well. Everything is there right now. So we actually have volume three, James, that's coming up. So that's tomorrow's
Wow.
volume two. Volume three, just this morning, JJ Canthan was sharing with me that we just have a new author from Bahrain. I don't know if I can even say the name correct. I know you have businesses like in Bahrain all around the world, so we just onboard a new author there. We have an author from California who
Hmm.
is either coming back from India right now or already
Yeah.
back. And guess what? She just won Mrs. Universe
Wow.
India. And
Wow.
she's actually going to be in the third book. So yeah, I'm going to steal a page off you, my friend, because JD3 TV. You're saying if you have a show, we want to know.
No.
And so
So,
I'm thinking if you have a story, right? We want to know. If you have a story, we want to know. We want to publish your story, just like JD3 TV. If you have a show,
mhm.
Dr. James Dentley wants to know, and perhaps maybe your show could be on his television network. By the way, JD3 TV, how did you go from, I don't hope you don't mind me saying this, how did you go from homelessness one point in your life
Yeah.
to the all the charities that you support, all the businesses you support worldwide, and then now JD3 TV?
Now that's a good one because I go back to Landed for Success. Someone shared a story with me that they were homeless at 24 and millionaires at 28. And I looked at Viktor Frankl, who wrote a book of his story called The Meaning of Life, and he talked about being in a Nazi internment camp, and everyone he knew was being slaughtered. They were being murdered. And he just had a positive outlook. And he wrote, two men trapped behind prison bars. One man saw the mud, the other man saw the stars. So his story and stories of other people, from Think and Grow Rich to What Makes the Great Great to different biographies, when you tell your story, you give another person access that's waiting to hear it. Because when I found myself homeless, and I was 32, but my mentor, who you know, Mike and Tony Cooper's, those two incredible twin brothers, their story gave me a different perspective, something different to look at. And when you look at something different, you can go somewhere different. It's like they say if a race car is going around the track, over time it's going to lose control. But always look at where you want the car to go. Don't look at the wall. Don't look at what's wrong. Look at that. And those stories will see you through. That's why it's important for people to share them. So, with that and just serving and helping people, and as you go down your journey, you find your path, your niche. You only find it by doing things. You got to take action. You got to have some action driven inspiration to go out there and do some things, invest in personal development, and get out there and know that your life has meaning, that every person has a story. That's why this interview is going to go to all of our social media as well, because even the TV network was built from people
Right?
telling stories, people who wanted to become speakers, and now we just took it to a different place.
Wow, I love it. The poem that you just shared, I just watched a movie on
Mhm.
Netflix called Brian Banks. James, have you seen that movie?
I've seen parts of it. I didn't see the whole movie, but it's a great movie.
It is so beautiful, right? True story, Brian Banks and Morgan Freeman, right? Morgan Freeman's in that movie.
Yeah.
And there's three parts that I love. One of them, he used that quote, right? Because this young man is in jail, like, two men look out from prison bar, one saw mud and the other saw stars. Well, where did I learn that poem?
Mhm.
Dr. James Dentley,
Mhm.
right? And then, he hands the young man a copy of the book, As a Man Thinketh.
Yeah.
So powerful. And,
Mhm.
for my friends who are watching right now, I've learned from you how important that is, kind of like, where are we? The five frequencies of high
Mhm.
performers. And I think you have another book coming out, the eight,
This is called the sixth frequency
the
time
six
to
frequencies. Okay. So as a
time.
man thinketh, why is that important, James? Could you maybe share with our folks, like, why is our thoughts so
Yeah.
important?
Yeah. Well, first of all, our thoughts are predominantly driven by our paradigm, which is our environment, which are our habits. Those thoughts, they will impact the words you say. When you speak, you're speaking from inside out. So, as a man speaketh in his heart, so is he. So, what's inside will come out. It begins with a single thought. Everything that's manifested, good or bad, happens twice. First is the unseen, the inner, then the outer, the mental, the physical. Okay. So therefore, once you bring it out, those words then turn into actions. You reinforce your actions. Just like the little engine that could, even talking to itself, said, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. What are we saying to ourselves? That's why it's important to read books and stories, even the Bible, your Quran. These are all stories. And those stories are there to give you a different perspective or a way out of a situation when you feel like there's no way out. So you get those things you do and it affects these actions, but continuous actions, they're going to drive the habits. Habits and rituals drive and identify your life. That's why the poet said, who am I? I am your constant companion. I'm your greatest helper and your heaviest burden. I can lift you upward, but I can drag you down to failure. If you teach me to do a thing repeatedly, I'll do it automatically. I am easily managed, but you must be firm with me. I am the first to all those who are great, and the last those who are failures as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I am not a machine, yet I operate with the precision of a machine, yet the intelligence of a human being. But if you teach me and train me, I'll lay the work at your feet. But if you are easy with me, I will destroy you. You can run me for profit or you can run me for ruin. Doesn't make any difference to me. Who am I? I am called habit. Habit is my name.
My name.
Habits describe your character, and your character equals your destiny. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life who you are.
Wow. I've seen you share that poem,
Mhm.
whether it was an audience of 10 or an audience of 10,000.
Yeah.
And I can never grow, what's the word? Cold? That's not the right word.
Bored,
Cold.
cold.
I could listen to you share that poem forever. Thank you so much. So Dr. James Dentley, for the folks who are watching, um, JD3 TV, great friend of mine for over 3 decades, one of my coaches, one of my mentors. When it comes to communication and speaking, you have a program where you have created multi millionaires because you taught them from
Mhm.
individuals who are even scared of their own shadows. I know
Yeah.
that, right? I
Yeah.
was one of those kids who were scared to even open my mouth. You've taken individuals that had no confidence to becoming some of the most successful speakers on the planet.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you is that program still around? Are you I mean, you're so busy right now. You're running like you aren't running the stars are now running with you.
Yeah.
What's
The
happening?
program. Yes, the program is available. They won't let me quit.
Okay.
We have so many people, as you know, Gordon, that they're trying to find their voice. They're screaming inside, notice me, see me. I've got something to say, and they feel like no one's listening. So they just clam up and they shut down. They shut down their possibilities, their dreams. They become what we say realistic about things instead of becoming the dreamer, the person that, just like our creator that created the entire earth out of void. That means out of nothing, out of a lack thereof. And that's what we're here to do is to create. So it begins with the power of your communication and understanding the laws of agreement, because communication from a cellular level is about agreement. So everyone has that power inside of them. Somebody said, do I have a seed inside of me? I said, you are the seed, just like
Wow.
the acorn
Wow.
is a seed for an oak tree. And then it bears more seeds. So the seed isn't in the tree. The tree is the seed all grown up.
Wow.
So Inspired to Speak is they're still there. And we're now starting to do several events to create stages and platforms for speakers. You're creating a place for them to have their own book, which
Yes.
drives their brand, which also forges their legacy because if once it's online, because if it's physical, it's also online, it's there forever. And now with the television show, we're taking speakers that may have a word to say, whether it be on social media or they've done it in a very small venue, maybe they're already in a studio to take those shows now and take those shows and stream them around the world with the book Landed for Success
That's
and with
incredible.
everything that you're doing. How do you package that to get your message out? And if you do it properly, you can make a good living by doing
Wow.
value because remember, your success is someone else's miracle. We need you to do well so others can do well through you.
That's incredible, James, because we all grew up thinking, I wish, how many of us like, I wish I had a rich uncle. right? I wish I had an uncle who could do this for me, and
Yeah.
so on. So our authors, many of our authors who landed for success are also coaches and speakers, and they have, some of you guys out there, you have podcasts, you have shows,
Mhm.
and who's listening to them? Who's watching them? Can you imagine being able to um, get in front of someone like Dr. James Dentley, share with them what your show is all about, and if it brings value, and he can blow you up, right? To millions and millions of people all around the world through JD3 TV. James, I wish I had that opportunity. I didn't. And you are now, right, taking that time to give back. Why are you doing it? I mean, you and Kara, right?
Mhm.
You guys don't have to work right now. People talking about financial freedom, financially free, residual income.
Mhm.
You have that. So
Yeah.
why you've landed for success?
Yeah.
You've landed for success. I mean, why are you still doing this?
Mhm. Because I keep the story connected, and I say a life worth living is worth recording. They're releasing my documentary, Time to Win.
Yes.
We're going to do an actual big release, movie release in April. And when I look at the breadcrumbs of my life, when I look at my story, um, I know exactly why I am where I am today. And I'm a person that went through homelessness. I've gone through broken relationships.
Mm,
I've gone through the death of close friends when I could have been there. I've had 23 guns in my face.
wow.
I've gone through rehab. I've gone through the ups and downs, and I've gone through the good times, and I've learned that love always wins. I've kind of
Wow.
learned some things along the way.
That love
A lot of
always wins.
happiness. And when I see someone, no matter where their state, we go to other countries and these people have nothing, but they're
Mm,
still dancing and finding happiness and joy. I believe the greatest human need is significance, to let people know that they matter and they count, and everyone needs a little help every now and again. Sometimes you have to push the car to jump start it. They call it jump the car, but the
wow.
car
I
can only be
remember
jumped
that.
by some people getting behind it to give them a push. So for the people, whether it be seniors or children or veterans, women initiatives, there's so much work to do. There's so many things happening around the world that we can all do our part. So our heart is in giving back and being in the
Mm,
philanthropy. And it only can happen if we make the decision to do well. So I tell everyone, who will lose if you decide not to win?
wow.
That's the question. Because it is a decision to win. So stop, wishing and wailing. Dreams are free, but everything else, work ethic, desire, is sold separately. You got to bring it.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being an immigrant kid, I remember some of my first cars. I
Hmm.
don't even know if you can call it cars, right? Remember the distributor cabs and
Yeah.
when you got
Yeah.
red and your car doesn't
Right.
start. And I
Right.
mean, I had this little Mazda
Mm.
512 or something. I don't even know what it was now.
Yeah.
It was rust, it was blue, and often I
Mhm.
can still picture, right? People
Right.
give me that push
Yeah.
so I could do that little jump start and then hope and pray that I could make it home and the car doesn't
Yeah.
stall again every time I stopped at a traffic light.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Well, that's all I could think of as you were saying, like, that jump start or somebody with
Yeah.
those jump cables that come along. I got a question for you because
Yeah.
there's, some people are watching right now. They're thinking, "Oh, come on, James! Like I can't relate to you now because you're so successful." I remember one time I was at the top of my game in the direct sales industry, and I just come out of a business presentation, and
Mhm.
I just got my brand new Lincoln. Right, went from my beat up car, and I was driving this Lincoln. And I came to it was big winter snowstorm, and I stopped at the lights, and a guy beside me had his hood up. So I stopped, I gave him a jump start, and he went his way, but he wanted to exchange cards. And then he wanted to thank me when I met him. He wanted to know what I did. But my ego was so big then. I was thinking, oh wow, this guy wants to know. So I explained to him what I was doing, but halfway through the presentation, you've seen this, he switched gears. And he started presenting to me why he had a better opportunity.
Hmm.
Why do people do that, do you think? And I'm not sharing the story to brag, but it seems like
Yeah.
sometimes people they haven't landed for success. They're still stuck They're
Yeah.
broke, busted, and disgusted, but they're not willing
Yeah.
to learn from lessons of others who have already been successful ahead of them. Why do people stay that? Why do people do that?
Because when a person's in pain and they take a situation and make it an identity, it moves from I'm having a rough patch or I'm trying to figure this out to that I'm not good enough. And the thinker thinks, the prover proves. If you think it, then you'll prove it to be true. The prover proves whatever that thinker thinks. So, in
Wow.
essence, they can't listen because it makes them feel like that they're not successful if they have to humble themselves. But even the Bible, Jesus said that he who humbles himself shall be exalted. He who exalts himself shall be humbled.
Mm.
Because the greatest leader is the greatest follower, and they don't understand that. That is not about where you are, it's about where you're going and who you are becoming in that journey. So sometimes a person has to validate themselves because it makes them feel like they're not good enough. So they have to keep telling themselves they're good enough and telling you and everybody else they're good enough. Follow me. But the bottom line is that you can't draw intelligence from a stupid whale. In other words, and I'm not talking about a person, but if you have a well where you're going to get water from, and the water is going to give you intelligence, give you discernment, and it's not there, then you can't draw it from there. You can't make it so. I believe that you learn from the people who've already walked the path because you don't have enough life to make all the mistakes. So learn from the mistakes that other people have already made and get out of your own way. I think that's it. And I know that when you read the book Landed for Success, you're going to hear stories of people in different walks in their life, then and even now, because we're all still on a journey. But when it says landed for success, that they've landed to a place, a euphoric place where they've been able to find peace and purpose. Money is not the only test. Sometimes it's overcoming some type of an addiction. Sometimes it's overcoming the squandered relationships that you can't keep together. Sometimes just learning how to wake up every day and be happy, to be a servant, to be able to give
Wow.
back. Landed for success means so many things. It's not always tied in money. But if you find out what you're really good at, the money will come because money goes where it's invited and it stays where it's welcome.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna listen and watch and rewatch what you said 100 times and take notes. What a powerful message.
Mhm.
So for the folks who are watching right now, just a quick recap. Again, thank you so much for being here. This is my good friend, Dr. James Dentley. He is what I call. He's not going to say this. He's too humble. He truly is a millionaire maker. He truly is a millionaire maker. And what's really neat is James and I were talking the other day. Despite the success he has, he's still learning himself. He's still part of mastermind groups, and that what he was sharing with me the other day, I'm blown away. Like if you guys want to meet millionaires and billionaires, right? Who you hang around with, Jim Rohn says, who's your most likely to become. And when James said to me that I'm just coming back from an event where there are millionaires and billionaires there, and I'm like, how do I book my ticket? When do I get it? How do I get there? So sometimes we hang around with broke people, so we become broke, or we haven't landed for success because we're not hanging around with people. Like James said, their stories, their failures, our failures and experiences can maybe help other people. So in the book Landed for Success, do us a huge favor if you can. Please do us a huge favor. Okay. Um, Help our authors reach #1 international bestseller status tomorrow by just simply going to Amazon, grab a copy. It's like $2.36, less than the price of a coffee, right? But this book is going to change someone's life. Maybe it's going to change your life, right? Maybe you don't need it. Maybe you have a friend that needs to go buy a copy, give it to them, buy 5 or 10 copies, give it to your friends. They need it. I know there was a time when I needed it. And I'm glad Dr. James Dentley gave me a copy of five, five frequencies. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the commercial there. But I wanted to finish. I usually ask my guests 3 questions before, usually, when we wrap up.
That's good.
Now, I'd love for you to come back another time, if
Yeah,
possible. I know your
absolutely.
time is busy because there's so much. I know there's so much content you have that can help people really step into their greatness.
Yeah.
When I look at Les Brown, right, I know I can close my eyes and I hear James talking. I think, man, I literally think like Les Brown's in the house, right? James is like Les Brown. For me, he's like the Les Brown, the Jim Rohn, the Tony Robbins, like the Brian Tracy's, the Zig Ziglars, all rolled into one. This is Dr. James Dentley.
Well, this is my brother.
I'm telling you, like this, like so. So by 3 questions I got for you, just so our folks could know you a little bit better. And by the way, you guys, JD3 TV, if you have a show, reach out to Dr. James Dentley. See if what you have even qualifies to be part of an incredible movement that's going to help you, right? Not just make a living. I think, James mentioned living. He's being humble. I think if you have a show and you're part of JD3 TV, you can knock this out of the park. It's amazing when you can knock this out of the park. Okay, when money is no longer an issue in your life, think about that for a minute. What if JD3 TV, when money is no longer an issue in life, what would you do? What could you do? So, anyways, my 3 questions for you. Number 1, what is Sir Dr. James Dentley's favorite color?
Blue. Blue is trust, and blue is strength and credibility. Blue.
Say that again. Blue is trust.
Trust, credibility, strength. Blue.
Strength. Wow, I love your blue shoes. Do you remember when we had holes in our shoes and then you started buying alligator shoes?
Oh yeah, I remember my shoes were so run over. I was standing like this, so you think they were straight in the back.
So blue. Okay. Second question is, if your kid said, "My dad's favorite ice cream is," what would be your favorite ice cream?
Ooh, I like a black walnut, but I also like a good sherbet. And it doesn't matter the flavor. I love a sherbet, but a
Any
good
type of sherbet.
sherbet, yeah.
Okay.
I go close, but black walnut when it comes to ice cream, I can get that. Black walnut, black cherry. Ooh. Don't get me started. You're making me hungry.
I'm already seeing it. All right. So the last question is this. Okay. If you could wave a magic wand right now, if you had a magic wand, and you could do one thing right now for Dr. James Dentley, not for someone else. Okay, because I know all your life, I've known you almost my entire adult life, and you are so giving. You just want to give, serve. You're always thinking about somebody else. How can I help somebody else? So today, the question for you is, forget about somebody else for a minute. Right? Like, the charities you give them for kids and so on. Like, if you could wave the magic wand, do one thing for Dr. James Dentley right now, what would you do?
Honestly, man, this is the honest answer. I'm sorry, it's the one I can give you. It would be that world peace, harmony, and love. And that's for me. It's very selfish because to witness that and to live in that is to live a euphoric life. It's to live a life of possibilities that are endless. To have that because I understand the energy, the frequency that is around you. So if we can strive to have, it can start with a day and then go to a couple of days and then a week of peace and love, and maybe in a community, maybe in a household, it makes our world better. Because remember, Gordon, when a bumblebee flaps his wing, it affects the atmospheric pressure around the world. So when we move, other things move as well. So that is for me, because when the world's better, I'm happy because I know my children are safe, that there's a possibility in their life, that people I care about are safe. And then because what better way to live a euphoric life than to make sure you're touching the lives of other people and you can go together.
Wow.
There's no jealousy, there's no envy, there's just create possibility. Like little kids, like Peter Pan.
I love that. I want to be Peter Pan.
Yeah, I always did. Until I found out it was a girl in tights, but okay.
Imagination. Well, before we go, I'm going to try something here because you are such an incredible teacher. Just such an incredible teacher. I remember one time when you said, Gordon, if you want to be not just a good speaker, you want to be a great speaker, take out a book and write out 25 stories. So I came home and I wrote out 25 stories. And then I saw you do poems. And I saw you teach a group, right, of men and women who were already incredibly successful. Some of them 7, 8-figure income earners and then inspired to speak. And you said the reason for stories and the reason for poems, right? And then I started to understand, because of having grandchildren, I understand, when we used to read nursery rhymes, right, and poems to our kids. So I'm going to try a story that you taught me, and then I'm going to get you to end maybe with a story and a poem as we exit out of
Okay.
this little conversation. I want to thank for the folks who are here taking the time to watch us, watching the replay. Please, again, tomorrow, go and support our book launch, buy a copy of the book. But more importantly, if you felt even a little bit of how I feel in my heart of how Dr. James Dentley is changing the world, he's changed my life, he's changing people's lives all around the world, reach out, have a conversation with him. Okay, so here's my poem. The story of a man who would figure and plan of all the things that he intended to do. Yet when the time came for him to get in the game, he never put anything through. He dreamt with a smile of the after a while of all the things he would do pretty soon. He was all right at heart, but he never would start. He could never quite get into tune. Yet if he had done all the things he had begun, he would have lifted among those of faith. But he was of no use, so he did not produce. His intentions were not to win the game. And it's easy to dream, to plan, and to scheme, and then let dreams drop out of sight. But only the ones who put through with their dreams will be the ones who will win the fight.
Pretty good.
Learn that from you, the best of the best. Thank you, sir.
I'm honored, man. It just says if you wait until you're ready, you're already too late. Don't
Wow.
procrastinate. Just go. Everything you need is on the journey. It's not there waiting. It's not UPS is not going to deliver that. It's out there waiting for you to come get it.
Wow.
All
I love that.
right. Is it my turn?
Yes, please. Send us home. Send us home.
All right. There's a story of three wise men that in retirement were trying to decide what to do with this thing called greatness, the greatness that resides in every human being that but is hidden. And they knew that if humanity got a hold of it, that we probably destroy ourselves. So the first wise man said, I tell you what, let's put it at the top of the highest mountain in the land. They'll never get there. The other wise man said, no, you don't understand. These people, they're ingenious. They'll find a way to fly like the birds and they'll get to the top of the highest mountain in the world. And we've done that. The other wise man said, why don't we stick it in the deepest part of the ocean? They don't even know what's down there. The other wise man said, no, you don't understand. You got to remember how smart they are. They'll find ways to light up even the depths of the sea. And we've done that. The third wise man said, I tell you what, why don't we just put it inside of them? They'll never find it there. Each and every person, if they're looking for a seed, you are the seed. Earlier when Gordon was talking, I went to a relaxed state because I was listening through my energy, through my frequency, and I had to let go and relax everything to be able to absorb those words. Because whatever you want wants you. So remember to stand before your dreams, every woman, every man. In times of trials, always believe that you can. And if you fall, know again you will rise. And when you feel weak, you focus on your prize. So by faith, keep walking towards your goal. By faith, unwavering faith, keep talking from the depths of your soul. Landed for Success is written for people like you and me. Read it, listen to the stories, and over time you'll see. Don't take your hand from the plow or turn back as a sin. You have to follow those dreams until you win. I remember I asked God, just give me one more chance before I die, and I'll spread my wings and I'll learn to fly. You got Gordon, 19 authors, they're holding up their end. Get the book, read it, study it, model it, then over time you'll win. Just keep working hard, keep doing what's right. Keep working your plan until the plan takes flight. Remember, it's time to grow up. It's time to show up right now so the whole world will see there's power in your dreams. They're alive in you, and I know they're alive in me. These are your dreams, your views. They're in Landed to Success. Read it, and then you must defend. And you got to follow your dreams until you win. Don't forget, I stand here because of the stories. Pick up Landed for Success. Get the stories. They will prepare you for obstacles that come in your life. You already have a blueprint, a roadmap, and you don't have to worry about being stuck because there's always a way.
Wow. There's always a way.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, Dr. James Dentley, love you.
Love you too, brother. I
Thank
appreciate you. Keep
thank
doing
you
great
everyone
work.
who's watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until the next time, everyone, have an amazing, amazing day.
Landed for success.